Support comes from BECU, a member-owned credit union putting people over profit, offering financial services and support to the community with access to local financial centers, over 30,000 ATMs, and online resources at becu.org. Federally insured by NCUA.
Hey, it's Patricia Murphy. Another casual Friday. This is Seattle Now. This week, the state opened up and COVID cases in King County went up. But hey, there are more vaccines too, and some live rock and roll. We're breaking it down with Seattle Times food writer Tan Vinh and KEXP's Eva Walker. But first, let's get you caught up. State health officials say they've seen the first so-called breakthrough cases of COVID. The DOH said yesterday that a few infections have been reported in the million or so people who are fully vaccinated. They're looking for connections between those cases, like a bad batch of vaccine or new variant. The Secretary of Health says breakthrough infections are rare and shouldn't keep anyone from getting a vaccine. Meanwhile, schools are getting the green light to allow more students in the classroom as they prepare to partially reopen next month. Yesterday, Governor Inslee reduced distancing guidelines from 6 feet to 3 feet. That puts us in line with updated guidance from the Centers for Disease Control. For now, schools have the option to stay at 6 feet, but Inslee wants classrooms at 3 feet by fall. Washingtonians with past felony convictions will get their right to vote back a little faster. State lawmakers passed a bill late Wednesday that would automatically restore voting rights to anyone released from prison before they've served out any probation or parole. Next up, Governor Inslee's desk, where he is expected to sign it. The bill was sponsored by Representative Tara Simmons, who herself was incarcerated before getting elected to the legislature. Hello, me again, here to remind you that it's day 2 of KUOW's Spring Membership Drive. And this podcast and all of the KUOW you enjoy happens because of people just like you who support it. Join us as a monthly member today by giving at KUOW.org. We put a link to donate in the show notes. Takes you 2 minutes, tops. And thanks for listening and supporting Seattle Now. It's Friday again, and I'm feeling like I could use a couple of days off, perhaps a trip to the city of Redmond. Yep, this week we learned the city of Redmond is trying to entice people to visit by paying them. Tan Vinh is here. He's the food writer for the Seattle Times. Tan, how much is the city of Redmond paying people to visit right now?
Oh, I think $100, but I need more than that.
You're off to a good start this Friday, Tan. This is true. The city is promising a package deal to people who book 2 nights at a participating hotel. You get $100 to spend at a local business. Seems like a good investment, right? Eva Walker's here. She is the front woman for the Black Tones and the host of Audio Oasis on KEXP. Eva, I know you've got huge plans already this weekend, which we're going to talk about later. But for now, how much would this enticing Redmond vacation package be worth to you?
You know, I mean, I've been to Redmond for free. You know, so $100 is nice, but since you're asking and I have the option, maybe, I don't know, no less than like $500. That's not being greedy, is it?
That would work for me. Anyway, regardless of where you end up this weekend, you will have more options because we are in phase 3 of Washington's reopening plan. That means everything from barbershops to theaters can open up at 50% capacity. We're also seeing more cases of COVID in King County. KUOW reporting the average number of new cases went up 31% from where they were 2 weeks ago. And of course, those new cases largely happening in places that have been allowed to reopen, like bars and restaurants. Tan, this puts restaurant owners in a very tricky situation. I cannot imagine the pressure to reopen at this point.
Yeah, I mean, one of the crazy things that we haven't talked about a lot lately is the fact that you can seat up to 10 people and they don't have to be from the same household. Think about how crazy that is. We're at a point where numbers are going up, but Trish, I can meet up with you and your family. Eve, I can meet up with you guys and we can sit down at a Tex-Mex restaurant and we won't have a mask on because we're eating, and that is perfectly legal. That's just so counterintuitive to what we've been taught, right? Wear your mask, social distancing. It makes no sense whatsoever.
That's a lot. That is a lot.
And you want to see something scary, go to Ballard on a Saturday night. I went there last week to pick up my takeout, and I was horrified. It looked like Miami Beach. Just a lot of people in their 20s and early 30s, maskless, lines out of bars like Matador and so forth. It just...
Which, by the way, there was a state of emergency in Miami, wasn't there?
Exactly.
Yes. The visuals, man.
Come on, Ballard.
Some of these restaurants in Ballard were beyond 50%, I would say. 6 feet of social distancing. I think it was all by interpretation, I guess. But it was horrifying. I do not want to be back in Ballard on a Friday or a Saturday night after 8 p.m.
And as a musician, I'm okay with saying this. Like, even when things were open before COVID, people were breaking those fire marshal rules. Like, okay, the capacity is 300, but come on in. I mean, like, of course they're going to do it for this, you know?
I actually saw a guy doing karaoke on Twitter this week at Hula Hula on Capitol Hill. Not sure I would have done that. Or started with the Gin Blossoms like he did.
You know what, Trish? Like, May 1st is going to be here soon. And that's when everyone 16 and over is eligible to get the vaccine. And, I mean, Biden pretty much has secured enough vaccine to cover everybody by the end of May. And it doesn't seem like it now, but we're going to have more supply than demand. And I just can't wrap my head around that even.
I know it. Well, this new phase... concerts as well. And this, Eva, this is going to be your big weekend because you are headlining an in-person concert this weekend. It's happening.
Yes, it's being coined as Seattle's first concert. Well, I guess live concert and probably legal concert that's happening with people. There's pods. People are separated. The Museum of Flight is huge. It's in a hangar. And guess what? 10 people can't sit together. Okay? So there's that. The CDC has blessed this, so this isn't just a group of us saying we're putting on Seattle's first concert. This went through regulations. The city has approved this, and that's why it's being coined as the official first, and I'm saying legal, Seattle open door concert.
It's really amazing. You have to play in an airplane hangar, though, to get this to be socially distanced and legal. Exactly. I love this, Eva.
Exactly.
It's a great idea, and the planes will still be there.
Yes, the planes will be there. Super excited. The whole reason my family is in the Northwest is because in 1968 and 1969, Boeing moved my grandfather up to Seattle and recruited him to work at Boeing because down south in the early 60s, my grandfather could not get an engineering job. He was a professor of physics and calculus and very smart man, and he was working in Mississippi while my family lived in Louisiana because he didn't want them to live in Mississippi. And he was told that N-words aren't engineers. And he could not find an engineering job. A Boeing recruiter from Seattle found my grandfather, and we've been in Seattle ever since. So I'm kind of play this in my grandfather's honor. So
amazing.
Super special.
Amazing.
Yeah. A lot of special things happening all at once.
It's so exciting. Are you nervous?
Yeah, you know why? Because there's a lot of pressure at the same time, being the headliner of the first comeback concert. So it's kind of like, well, don't blow it. So yeah, I'm nervous, and I'm going to figure out how to entertain people in pods, and, it'll be fine.
It'll be great. Are you kidding?
We'll have a support group meeting. We'll do another one of these episodes, and we'll talk about it, and you guys can be my support group.
At this point, people are so desperate to get out. You could go out there and just hit a chord, and everybody would just be
Encore.
Yeah. Have you been practicing?
We have been practicing. We actually have been getting COVID tests pretty regularly, but also luckily it's a family band and we're around each other quite a bit. Very small group of people in my family. It's been going great, and I can't give anything away.
All right, there you go. I want to go now. I'm feeling this.
I'm so jealous.
I'm starting to hear some chatter about plans for returning to the office at KUOW. University of Washington put out a little directive, and it got through the email chain. I'm starting to feel that a little bit. Microsoft, of course, giving all its employees the option to come back. The option. That's a lot of people, too. That's 57,000 people. That is a very big deal. Ton, it makes me wonder who wants to go back now and what they're going to get when they do return.
Yeah. It's not just Microsoft. I mean, Facebook, Amazon, they're going to trickle their employees in starting in July. And if you read some of the news report of why these tech workers want to be back in the office, the common denominator is FOMO, like fear of missing out.
Sometimes I prefer to miss out.
See, I'm the opposite of FOMO. I'm like, what did Ellen DeGeneres call it? Fog staff? Fear of getting stuck at a party. I'm happy. I'm good with not being in the newsroom.
I'm thinking back to the days where, remember when you'd have like a meeting, when we used to have face-to-face meetings, and that one person would call in? And they would be like the outcast in the meeting because nobody could hear them and they couldn't hear anybody.
And they're like, sorry, can you say that again? Can you say that? Okay.
Man, things have done a 180. All right. One more story before we go. And this one comes to us from Paige Cornwall at the Seattle Times. Paige was hanging out with a group of so-called vaccine hunters. You know, the people who show up at the end of the night hoping to scoop up the leftover
the chasers,
dose.
yeah.
Yes. On this night, Paige was at the city's Rainier Beach vaccination site, and there's 50-odd people standing around in the parking lot waiting to get these leftover doses. And the captain of the fire department comes out at the end of the night and holds up 6 fingers, which means most of these people are completely hosed. So they start with people over 65. They get one 65-year-old, and the crowd cheers. Now they're down to 64-year-olds. 6 hands, 5 shots. One person is going to be very disappointed here. They're going down by birth month. The last 3 people are all born in January, so it's coming down to the day. First one's on the 18th, one's on the 24th, and the last one's on the 26th. So 2 days makes a big difference. Somebody had to walk away. That poor guy born on the 26th. I hope they gave him a lollipop anyway. Eva, would you do this?
I haven't, so I guess not, but, you know, I don't blame folks that feel the need to. It really broke my heart reading this article. I'm glad they found a fair way to do it, but it's just like, I mean, this is like standing in line for rations and like we're in apocalypse America or world, whatever.
This is America.
Like, I mean, it's just like, oh my goodness. But I don't know. I feel like if it really depends on the situation. If I was in a different situation, I might have a reason to do so. But also, I'm 31, and I wouldn't want to take that away from somebody else who needs it right now. So right now, no, I wouldn't do that for someone else who needs it more.
And Trish, I mean, if you were to print out that story and told me it was a script, I would have believed you. I would have thought this was a sci-fi movie script, like some post-apocalyptic world, 50 people chasing down 6 vaccine and what's going to happen.
What do you think they would have done if it was the same day? Do you think they would have been like, we need to see a birth certificate with your time on it? Now, see, me and my twin brother have our birth times tattooed on us. I was born 246. He was born 256. So we would have been ready.
You and your twin brother, only one vaccine. Who gets it and who doesn't?
You know, that would be a fight of us trying to give it to the other person just because we love each other.
Oh my gosh.
I don't believe that. She'd be like, hey, go to the car and grab my phone, please. And then she know Eva got her shot. Sucker.
All right, we're leaving it there. That's our show for this week. Thanks again to my guest, Eva Walker, frontwoman for the Black Tones, playing this Sunday in Tonvin, food writer for the Seattle Times. Thanks, you too.
Thanks, Trish.
Thank you.
Seattle Now is produced by Claire McGrain, Caroline Chamberlain Gomez, and Jason Pagano. Matt Jorgensen does our music. I'm Patricia Murphy. See you Monday.